All right, I'm back from being under the weather. Very interesting free agency class so far by the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going to go over the good, the no hopium, and the Eichenberg of the draft class so far. We've got to be realistic. Both those who want to say everything's bad and also for those who want to say everything's good. I'm going to try to break this down in a realistic fashion, and there's stuff to like. There's stuff that, there's some hopium going on out there. Needs to be pulled down. And then there is some Eichenberg, literally and figuratively going on with the free agency class so far. So I'm going to get into it. But remember, guys, please help me out. I need to get to that 10K to keep the gig. So help me with the likes, the subscribes, especially the comments, the views, all that stuff keeps Curtis in the biz. So please help me out with that. And if you are right now, I'm very grateful. So we just signed Pharaoh Brown, 6'6", 246, 31-year-old tight end. He's an upgrade over Smythe. And I like so he can be a good blocker in the run game and the pass game at times. Sometimes he can't. He can be a little bit of a threat. That height does help him in the red zone. He's a clear upgrade over Smythe, but he's not a stud. But I do like how he offsets some of the things with Jonnu. I'm not saying we're not going to draft in the free agency a tight end. We might. I don't think it's going to be early. But at this stage, it is an upgrade of last year, but it's not going to be the PowerPoint that I would hope. At 6'6", 246, I got to see his leverage. I'm going to study him out, see how he drops his hips and gets into guys. That's going to determine a lot if he can really move the right kind of guys, the guys we need. But that's a good signing. Not a great one, but a good one. Then Alexander Madison, good running back, tough running back. Some people are talking about Madison picking up those 3rd and 1s, and I don't know. It depends on Daniels, how he comes in, how quickly he comes in. I'm going to get the film to you. Not today. I'm still recovering. I like this addition. But we had Mostert, and Mostert was a hard-running, powerful back just like him, and he struggled inside. So at this stage, I think it's a good addition. It's a younger version in some ways. He's not as fast, but for the inside of Mostert, nice 3rd down back, adds you a little compliment to Wright and to Eichenberg. So a good little pick. I like it. But remember, I know some people disagree on this, but the running backs, the majority of the running backs, their production is really generated by the offensive line. So how this offensive line does is going to really, create what Madison does. He's not a special back. KJ Britt. He's a rundown linebacker. He's younger. He's not bad. He can't cover. He's kind of like what Jones was expected to be, but not as good. He's not as good as a run stopper, but he's a solid run stopper, 6'2", 235. It's a nice little addition. He's better than Tyndall. Clearly, I think we're probably going to add a linebacker in the draft. But he's a good piece of the puzzle. It will allow him to play to Mike, and then you can move Brooks more into that dog, a weak linebacker, will linebacker to cover, and not have to be the main guy to get in there and attack, stack, and shed. So I like that addition. Dwayne Eskridge, receiver. We need receiver help. He's okay. Carmen Jackson. I think Chris Kaufman put it best. He talked about how Greer said, got so bad we had Carmen Jackson in tackle. And then he goes and brings him back. And that's going to tie into some of the stuff here. The offensive line has made some steps forward. Carmen Jackson, some people want to say they want to move him inside to guard. I don't like his leverage. There's something up with him. He's not very good. He's gone through a few systems. I'm not really impressed. I don't think he's terrible, but is this? Some people are saying that, he's going to be our new Lamb. No, Lamb was better. Lamb was much better than Carmen. Carmen develops, but then when you tie it into the Eichenberg is back, baby. That's crazy. I got to say when I get things wrong, I did not think that Greer would have the cojones to bring Eichenberg back, but he did. He's bringing him back. That's the talk. I don't see the official signing, so maybe he's not, but I saw a lot of posts saying that he was coming back. I'm concerned that Greer's delusionary powers might have Daniels as one left guard and Eichenberg as the other guard, maybe the right guard, maybe the flip-flop. I don't know. That's crazy. You could get a much better guard for a little bit more, but it tells you that Greer is not the humble character. This is trying to force something in that doesn't work. And there's a lot of people out there, not me, who are telling you, Eichenberg's not that bad. He's not that bad. Stop focusing on it, Curtis. You're just a hater. And then when he got cut, they all had fun laughing at him and in the offseason. And then when he comes back, now they're all saying, I can't believe this is happening. But the evaluation during the season and prior to the season was he wasn't that bad. It's okay to change your eval. It's okay. Everyone does. But you got to kind of talk about how you failed. It's no good to have this guy back. It just shows Greer, about who Greer really is. He's got an agenda. It's not always winning games. But the Eichenberg thing also tells me that he thinks he's got a longer leash or knows he's got a longer leash than what we're hoping. Tyrell Dodson, very good signing. Dodson and Britt, maybe you won't draft. But you probably should. You got Tyndale. I take that back. You're probably not going to go get a linebacker. You got Dodson. You got Britt. You got Brooks. I guess that's going to be a linebacker core. Yeah, they're not going to draft a linebacker, I doubt, except for maybe late. I think they're going interior and secondary early, and then maybe a dab for the offensive lineman. But Dodson showed something last year. He made a mistake in one game. He acted like a fool, and it kind of cost us the game. But overall, very good addition. I like that. He's not great, but he's getting $4 million a year, so it's considered a player. Nick Westbrook. I like Nick Westbrook. 200 pounds, 6'2", 210. He can block. He can pass block and run block, and we need that. We got the Smurf receivers who struggle with blocking. Sometimes Hill doesn't want to block. This guy can block. He's big. He adds something else to add with Washington. I thought that was a pretty darn good signing. Ashton Davis. He's had limited duties. He makes plays. We got to see what he does with a bigger menu, a bigger amount of reps. I like the pick. It's Poyer and Holland weren't that good. Good addition. And then I talked about the rest, Bell, Elijah Campbell. I talked about these other guys in my prior podcast. But overall, this is a solid group of guys to add. But when you talk about this roster, it is thin at starters. It's thin at depth. There's a lot of teams around us that are getting better. And this is not a move to have to win this season. A lot of Finn fans are believing that if Greer doesn't prove himself this season, he's gone. And I don't think that's the case. I think that he's got 2 more seasons at least. And this is just a setup, which is fine. I get it. But you've got to understand what we're doing here. You're asking Greer to go into this draft with 2 really top 100 picks. I think one's 98, but It's a back end, so maybe 3. And then you're asking him to fill all these spots. You need a starting guard unless you're talking about Eichenberg. You really should upgrade the tight end class. You need a backup quarterback. You need 2 defensive tackles. You lost some guys to free agency. You're going to need a starting cornerback. You still need safeties, really. You're going to have to add to this safety group, but you clearly need at least 2 more cornerbacks. Maybe bring Kohu back, but clearly 1 starting cornerback, 1 starting DI, 1 starting guard, and a bunch of help. And, remember, you got Sealer, who's 30 going on 31, Ramsey 30, 31. Either of these guys go down, you got problems. And then you need help on the offensive line. What about tackle? Jackson and Daniels are coming off major injuries. There's a lot to add. I think he can get to coherency if he has a great draft, but it's going to take that, guys. So overall, it's a good stuff. This is the stuff he should have been doing instead of blowing picks and trading up, instead of doing 2 picks on first-round picks for Waddle, trade up a little bit for Smith, and then you have extra ammo, and maybe trade back a little bit and get stuff. He was reaching for years, reached for Jackson, reached for Noah, reached for plenty of guys. So it seems like he stabilized a little bit, but there's the arrogance of bringing Eichenberg back. I've got to show you I was right, and this whole idea of the offensive line not being such a big deal is clearly on the table. So overall, that's it, guys. I'll get back to you with more coverage as my health gets better, coughing up a storm. So Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.